Hey guys, today I wanted to talk a little bit about an aspect of dealing with a narcissistic person that there don't seem to be a lot of videos about. You can find all kinds of information if you're trying to identify if a person that you know is a narcissist or how to handle the things that they do to you. All things relating to how you should be computing things and basically come to peace with the fact that you can't really call them out. Because if you do call them out, you're always going to get this rage response. Your reality is never the reality that they share about the situation. And so after too long of that, as a neurotypical person or just a person that doesn't suffer from narcissism or personality disorders, you're going to feel this deep need to express that, hey, wait a minute, the reality that you are in, sir, ma'am, is not the one that I'm living, and I've had enough. And so you reach this boiling point and you want to just tell this person off, let them know how it really is, and in so feel like you're taking your power back. Well, it doesn't take too long of searching videos and reading articles to find out that this never works. You might get a very brief relief by saying, hey, this is the way it actually is. You're out of your mind and get away from me. The problem is, as soon as you finish that last sentence, here comes a barrage of just incredulous vitriol, hate, non-truths, wild words will come from this person, because when you start telling someone the actual truth of what reality is, they can't stand it, because it is so uncomfortable for them to feel like they've done something wrong, that they're not all that, and this, that, and the third, and they will do and say whatever they can to break you down. And even if you are to the point where it doesn't break you down anymore, because the more you learn about it, the more you learn, okay, this is actually a mental issue these people have, in my opinion. And you know, maybe you're just okay with that and you just don't care and you just want to let them know how it is. It just doesn't work, because you get to hear the vitriol. And what's worse than that is these people are so uncomfortable with the true reality in life that they will make your life a living hell just so they destroy the person who brought reality to them. And in the end, they don't even believe what you're saying anyway. And they truly, in order to live with themselves, have to believe that you're the one with the problem. Oh, that's great. And you can find videos on this. And I have videos like this. But what about this situation? And the main point of this video is this. What if you're married to one of these people? And you can't just do the advised thing of just don't respond to them anymore. Slowly stop giving them energy, aka slowly stop responding to them and adding fuel to their fire, which is what ideally we all can do. But if you're married to someone and if you share a child with this person, it's not that simple. So all the advice in the world about how to go silent isn't really helpful. If this person is still tied to you financially, their name is on things, you have to break things apart, you're going to be forced to have communication with them. And if you're in the middle of breaking things off with them and they finally realize that you're no longer buying their crap, they're probably not going to be nice at all. In fact, they'll probably become much worse than they were when they were cohabitating with you and you were sharing more of yourself with them, because they still saw some benefit from you. Well, if you're in a situation where you're divorcing this person or you're trying to get away from this relationship, whether you're married or not, but you're breaking things apart that have been tied together financially, what do you do? Well, you may be thinking, I'll just beat around the bush as much as I can. I'll just send very short 2-sentence emails and I'll cover my tracks. And you do want to do that. You absolutely want to have communication that you can keep on file should things get ugly and end up in court, should they start threatening you, should they be showing up at your house. You want to have cameras, things like that, to people that don't deal with this, that might sound crazy, but this is your reality and you are who I'm talking to. So if you're dealing with this, yes, you want cameras. Yes, you only want to be having conversations that you can keep track of. I always suggest doing this via email so that you have proof if you should need it. And so going back to this instinct you might have now that you know exactly who they are, of limiting the words you use and being very calm and cool in order to avoid an explosion, I have bad news in that these people, you can't avoid the explosion. The ultimate reality is if you have to separate things, whenever that separation occurs and however you communicate it, odds are they will fly off the handle, particularly if you're dealing with some of the more scary types of narcissists, the malignant kind, mostly the malignant kind, where they will stop at nothing to just try to break you down emotionally and also destroy you socially. Number one, I would say just go in and rip out that Band-Aid. Draft the email and take care of all your bases at once. If it involves court, give the court dates. If it involves, this is what I'm going to do, advise them what you're going to do. I'm going to be separating this bank account. I'm going to be canceling this. And odds are, if you're to this point where you're like, I've had enough, I have to do this, you've probably been nice up until now, allowed them to use the car because you have a child. You've allowed them to stay on a bank account because it's easier to not have that separation and then fly off the handle, or it's easier to give them money that way. If you're in the middle of a separation, forget all that. You have to just lay it all out, in my opinion, via an email, all the things that you need separated. Say it in very neutral language. I would skip the, and you deserve this and you deserve that, even if they do deserve the worst, in your opinion. It's just not worth adding fuel to that fire. And also, if you need this documentation, perhaps in a court setting, you want to come off as neutral and professional, even though this is a personal relationship, but as professional as possible. Because what you will get in return to that communication will likely be some of the worst things you've ever had to read in your life. And hopefully you're at a point where you already know that this person's reality is so bizarrely different from yours, and that whatever they say, honestly, again, my opinion, the worst things they say about you, you should take those as compliments. Because do you really want this person to think highly of you given their standards and their way of operating through the world? No, you shouldn't care about that at all once you have realized that this person is just not a human being that you want to have too much communication with. But again, here you've been married maybe and you have a child, so you have to do and say something, because this has to be finalized in some way for you to move on. By keeping them on a bank account, by keeping bills in each other's names and sharing cars, you're never going to break free. And that's exactly what they want, because narcissists see interaction with them, no matter what the interaction is, it doesn't seem to matter. For them, it's all about energy. And if you're speaking, if you're emailing, if you're texting, no matter what it's about, they feed off of energy. It's really interesting in a sad way, but all this energy that you're putting forward is draining you. It's amping them up, but it's draining you. That's why I say get this done in as few communications as possible. And then the second part is equally important. After you send that communication that outlines what the court's going to do, that you've canceled this, that you've canceled that, just brace yourself a little bit, because they absolutely will send you that vitriol back in this evil email. And you will want to defend yourself because you're a human being. You'll want to say, no, I'm not all those things. You are all those things. You are also crazy. And you'll want to, engage, because this is what happens when our emotions get engaged. And being a normal person, who lives a decent life, you don't appreciate being called all the things that you are not and that this person actually is. My biggest advice to you is don't respond. After you've communicated what you need to communicate to this human being, you no longer need to react. The only responses that you need to give at the juncture where you've decided that's it, it's over, I'm separating and canceling any tie that we have to each other financially and on paper. Don't engage. Don't engage in the banter. A person can only yell and scream for so long when there's no response in return. They start feeling stupid because what they feed off of is energy. And if they can't get it from you, they have to go out into this world and find it from someone else. Now, if you're a truly decent person, you won't want that for anyone else. And you'll have this urge to, well, maybe if I can just end this well, they won't go on and do this to someone else and blah, blah. Forget it. It's not going to happen. They are going to go out and do the same thing to someone else. And me to you right now, the point is to stop it from happening to you. That other person might go through hell, but right now we're talking about your hell. And we have to get through this, and we have to take care of you and not anybody else right now. A lot of times the people that get targeted by narcissists are people that genuinely care about all people. They don't want to bother or hurt anyone. And so the thought of this monster being unleashed to someone else could be playing a part in your subconscious wanting to take on some of this hate that they have in hopes that maybe somebody else doesn't experience it. But what I'm telling you is that's not possible, and it's not your job to do. These people need therapy, in my opinion. They're highly unlikely to go get therapy, and right now we just need to worry about you getting closure from this situation and into a safe space, both mentally and physically. So cross your T's, dot your I's. Don't think that by tiptoeing around the tulips that you'll avoid the tulips from getting ripped out anyway. Destruction is part of the end of these relationships. And so hopefully, especially in situations where there's a child, you remain neutral. You send the communication. You ignore whatever they say in return. You do not respond to it, because unless it has to do with your child, if you've been married, there is no reason to speak. After you have figured out whatever financial cutoffs that you need to do to get away from this person, there is no need to speak. When it comes to a child, thankfully, in the United States, if that's where you are, you can do most things through the court system, through your lawyer. I would absolutely advise doing that. I would absolutely advise having little to no contact with this person. Even if this person is the mother or father of your child, I would do my best to limit the conversations and keep them very neutral and matter of fact. And each time they try to engage on a personal level, simply don't respond. It is always an option. If they start threatening and saying things like, I will keep you from your child, this and that, force them to do these things over voicemails, over emails. Don't just meet up and have these conversations in the street that ignite your emotions and you can't do anything to protect yourself in court. Make sure that you're keeping all evidence that this person is behaving erratically and not being respectful and being basically unfit to hold a conversation. And if this person is unfit to have a conversation with another adult, a court is going to have to decide how fit they are in their parenting role in your child's life. And I also understand that you may be thinking, I don't want to take my child away from his or her mother, his or her father, because who wants to do that? Sometimes we have to really lean on the systems that are available to us, and the court system is available to you. If this person is threatening you nonstop and trying to blackmail you into doing this, that, and the third just for you to see your child, that's not legal. You have things that you can do. Try to place your emotions aside. They've already been beat up by this person, and say no more. Keep a record of the information and take it to a court. I hope you guys found this helpful. It's really supposed to be about the most difficult situations you can find yourself in with the narcissist. And the most difficult situations are the ones where you are somehow tied to this person. It's more than just, well, they can have the apartment, I'm walking out, or they can have the house, I'm walking out. When there's a child involved, it becomes much more stressful, and it pulls at your heartstrings more, and that's exactly the fuel that they will use against you. You're not dealing with a person that is like you. And one of the biggest mistakes we make, and my grandfather is the one that said this, he said, one of the biggest mistakes that we make is we assume that other people are like us or think like us, just because we spend the most time with ourselves. And it is simply not true. And some people are masters of disguise, and it is very possible to marry a narcissist and not know it at first. And I wish you all the best of luck in separating yourselves from these people. And again, I hope you found this helpful. And until I talk to you later, take care.